This episode is made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 online art school in the entire planet. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. I am deep in the annals of your mind. I am deep in the annals of your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about how artists and influencers are insecure because things are changing. Going through changes!
But before we get into it, you know the drill. Please touch my buttons. Touch my like button and my subscribe button.
Everything's so swollen.
Oh, yes.
So please make it more swole by clicking below, finding our music channel, clicking and subscribing to that. Welcome back. I feel a lot better now. Goodness gracious.
I don't, because I am now on my period. But you look great. Happy Monday. You look great. You're beautiful, beautiful people.
Beautiful people. All bundled up in your holiday attire. Ugly sweater and all. Drinking hot cocoa.
Eggnog.
Enjoying life. Drinking eggnog.
Mulled cider. Yum.
Ooh, yes. Now, Janet, why are we talking about the end of all things again?
Because...
You know how I feel about this topic. And you know where my allegiances belong to. Wink, 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 wink.
The humans.
The humans. The aliens. Nope.
I was on Twitter.
The AI.
No. I have unfollowed all the political pundits, for the most part, on Twitter.
We are seriously turning a new leaf.
Yes. I just get a bad taste in my mouth every time I see it, so I unfollowed everyone. I was like, okay, I'm going to try to make Twitter somewhat interesting for me.
And I told you, impossible.
Yeah,
impossible to do without news and shit posters.
Yeah,
impossible.
And I was like, this is hard. This is very hard. And I kept seeing, because I follow a lot of NFT artists, and I think the algorithm for some reason also knows either who I am or that like I am semi-interested in art. So it serves me a lot of like what the art community is talking about, which happens to be AI, the whole AI art conversation that we had a few episodes ago. We kind of were on the forefront of talking about the controversy before it became a controversy. Like, no one was really talking about it other than like tech people who are like, hey, this new thing's pretty cool. You can like enter prompts into these AI thingies and then it like just makes amazing, beautiful artwork out of nothing air. The AI does. And we were talking about the implications of it, what it means for artists. You'll probably lose your jobs. What it means for culture, society, and a lot of things. And a lot of what I said came true.
Oh no, is this a Janet was right situation?
Yes. I was just kind of shocked because I didn't think it would, a lot of the things I predicted would have come true so quickly. The biggest thing that came true is the artist's reaction to AI art. I was saying that like artists shouldn't be insecure about AI art because AI art is a tool and it can make some cool stuff, and I'm sure it's going to be an amazing tool in the future for a lot of different things. But the true creative people in the world, artists aren't like, it's kind of, the average person thinks the value of an artist is their technical skill, them knowing how to draw, them knowing how to paint. But every real artist knows an artist's main value is their ideas, their creativity, their brain, the fact that they're human and flawed and all these things. And we were like being romantic about this stuff and going like, you shouldn't feel secure, but I'm sure a lot of artists will be insecure.
You shouldn't feel insecure.
Yeah, you shouldn't feel insecure, but you will be. I don't know why, but like artists, like a synonym for artists is insecure person. Like I have learned that just by like being an artist and observing the world and how people react to how artists react is just constantly just a bunch of 12-year-old insecure artists, even when you're like 30. It's like, God, you're so annoying. So what I was seeing on Twitter were a lot of artists, and you'd think this is like, oh, just a bunch of shit posters, just a bunch of 12-year-olds. No, professionals, people who you'd think would know better. Professionals tweeting about how a lot of AI artists have been putting artists like Kim Jung-gi, Carla Ortiz's art, Sam Does art into AI programming software algorithms, whatever it is they do. They put it into these AI things and training them to be able to put out their own version of that in that style.
Yeah, and we were having Thai food when you saw this tweet,
Yes.
and we were like, Kim Jong-un, no way.
Yeah.
So we had to look. And
Yeah.
what did you think about the AI's result? Honestly, honest to goodness, what did you think about the results?
My honest opinion was like, wow, that's impressive.
That's crazy
Yeah.
close. A lot of people have pointed out it's really the AI isn't happy with doing hands.
Yeah.
Just like normal
or
artists.
faces,
Or
actually.
But like if you were to just like not even squint your eyes, if you were just to put Kim Jong-ki stuff with the AI stuff, it's just like, oh, that the layman will go like, oh, that's similar. And then when you look closely, the only thing I can say is like, okay, that looks kind of mushy here and there,
Yeah.
and that looks like digital brush strokes.
yeah.
But man, that looks really close.
Yeah, if you weren't paying attention, you're just scrolling on whatever social media, you think, oh, it's Kim Jong-ki's art. And then you just not
and you-
think
none
too
be the-
hard
yeah,
about
none the
it.
wiser.
So basically, the offense, why people are so mad, is that Kim Jong-gi recently passed away, and they're making a big deal about like they didn't ask permission from his family, and it was like basically hashtag too soon because it was like a few days after he had passed, or like I heard that YouTuber, Instagram artist Sam Does Art, I think, got upset about like people using his art to train AI art, saw it and asked for it to be taken down, but then like the AI artist basically bullied him in somehow, I don't know, like got really mad at him, whatever, for basically gatekeeping is I guess what I would call it, gatekeeping whether or not should be called art, that like, what do you own the style or something, like I'm sure those arguments were made. So I looked at that and I was just kind of like not surprised. Like, this is not surprising for me that artists are behaving this way. I saw some people talk about how the AI artists are bullying digital artists, but then some other people were like, but I've also seen digital artists bully AI artists, which is kind of the majority of what I've seen, that like a lot of digital artists like,
That's not real art.
That's not real art.
You have no talent.
you shouldn't call yourself an artist. You're stealing. It's plagiarism. You have no,
boy.
a lot of that stuff. And I'm sitting here like, all the traditional artists are looking at you, all of you, and going like, you all have no talent. None of you can draw or paint. And another thing that I kind of briefly looked into was I saw that DeviantArt got into a lot of trouble because they thought the whole AI craze was really cool. I think they like took some art that was on DeviantArt and input it to train AI to do something. I don't know what it was they're trying to do, but of course they, I guess, read the room wrong, and like a lot of people got mad at them for using their art to train AI. I was just like, oh my god, this is a nightmare. This is a travesty. And you're like, man, the AI artists and the digital artists kind of deserve each other.
Yeah, because they bully each other.
Yeah.
Like, geez, it's I can only see nothing but conflict for the next few years. It's the AI artists trying to, like, you know, create something that they think is legitimate. Just and to, like, finally be like, it's like the plot of Iron Man 3. Man, never mind. It's not like Iron Man 3. It's just the people who are really fascinated with this stuff being really enthusiastic about it and showing the world how amazing it is.
Right.
Like, truly, this is like, we like have some fucking empathy, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just imagine that this is something like that's magic.
Right.
To them that is the equivalent of you being able to draw all of this stuff in real life. And, like, isn't that not legitimate to them? And it's like it's just the digital artists too who, like, look at these people and go, like, you didn't spend any time learning how to paint.
Right.
You don't know how light works. You don't know how the body and the form works. And then all of this pretension, which I can only imagine just angers AI artists even more.
Yes.
And then probably propels the anger and fuel to, like, oh yeah, well, fuck you. I'm going to take your art and then put it in the fucking washing machine and fuck you. Haha. See, now your art, now we created, like, a fucking evil Shadowlink Zelda version of you. A phantomed AI digital hellscape version of you. Ha! See, and it's just like, and then it's gonna make people even more angry, and then you're gonna make, let's say, somebody with a community as big as Sam does art, you're gonna make their community really mad, and then all of a sudden the biggest AI artist is arguing with the community of the biggest digital artist, and it's just like warring for with no end, and all it's gonna be is just like anger and insecurity for I would assume years.
Right.
Because we tell you, like, the artists are always last.
Yes.
And doing anything different or kind of spearheading any sort of cultural movement. Like,
Yes.
they don't.
Yes.
They don't. They it's almost like they document it after the fact.
Yes. They make it palatable for everyone to consume, but once they do jump on the bandwagon, but, like, they're not typically the ones that are like, woo, change, cool new thing. Good.
So knowing that both communities have, like, this propensity to just bully people, for whatever they think is a valid reason, is sort of like, you deserve each other.
Yes. I have known this for a while, but if you're new to the art community or the internet community of geeks and nerds, these are insecure people. And even if they aren't 12-year-olds who tend to be insecure little preteens, little shits, these are stunted adults. Who have the brain of a 12-year-old insecure
They
little
work
shit.
in cartoons.
Yes.
They work at cartoons. We work at cartoons.
And I like it's like nerds versus artists. You think of, like, the high school equivalent, the, like, little weirdo
Listen to My Chemical Romance,
school shooter type artist.
XXXTentacion.
Yeah.
just like brooding in the corner.
Yeah, and everyone's like, ugh, don't want to associate. Versus the, like, nerd, like the nerdy, gawky, like I'm gonna be your boss one day, and I'm gonna, like, show all you jocks who, like, bully me. Like, those two people are fighting each other, okay? And I really have no sympathy for the both of them, because so the AI artists, I would say that I have a little bit more empathy for them, because, like, I think it's really cool. This is new tech. What it can do is really amazing. Like the GDT chat thing that was happening. Like,
explain what that is to everyone.
There's this new chatbot thing that apparently is OpenAI, the company's version of a chatbot. And if you've ever interacted with a chatbot, let's say, like, way back in the day on, like, AIM or something, it's not great. It just, like, you just have fun, like, seeing what kind of answers they're gonna give you. This chatbot is, like, really advanced and good, and it really feels like you're talking to an intelligent thing.
Whoa.
And we were talking about how, like, the uses for that are gonna be crazy. We were talking about, like, what if you can somehow use this technology in video games, where like instead of having writers and like hundreds of writers come up with like all these dialogue trees.
Imagine the next Skyrim or the next Mass Effect using like dialogue trees with AI to make the conversations really personal or very realistic or something. They don't just say like, oh, I took an arrow to the knee every like 5 paragraphs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or like the idea of like when if you are aware of how to make digital art, the what's it called when you just like scribble in or like make blocks the flatting process of like painting. Imagine you can just push a button and they like AI just does that.
Wait,
for
let
you.
me explain. I don't think people understand because this is my job.
Yes.
Okay. So if you are a background painter, which I am,
Yes.
You have to receive the drawing from the background designer, right? Which is like, what you're getting is like a coloring book.
Yes.
So what you have to do if you're a fucking pro is you have to surgically get the lasso tool and fill in every single nook and cranny. If there's a vent, you lasso tool every single kind of divot. If it's a brick wall, you have to kind of separate almost every square. There's tricks that you can do, like use the magic wand tool, but at the end of the day, this is hard labor to almost mask, like you're using back in the 1950s, like tape or
Yes.
frisket. You're masking everything, like the edges of the barn.
It's time consuming and
It's
annoying.
very time consuming and annoying, but the reason why we do this is because once it's done, which is a lot of painstaking work later, then truly
you can paint.
You can paint.
Actually, like,
you can like get in there, do damage,
Yeah.
get the paint bucket tool, just fill in gradients, bing bang boom, you're done.
Yes.
But boy, I always wish when I do it every time, I'm like, I wish I had a little monkey creature, little Dobby. I wish I had little Dobby. And I'm like, you get there and you go inside, you go under the stairs and you do this lasso tool and then you give me everything when it's done, Dobby. And then you will have your meals, Dobby. Oh, I would just dream of like, oh man, I just wish I had a little thing that just did this for me. Because like once it's done, it's like, oh my god, it's like a breeze. It's
yes.
like, you know,
It's the fun part.
it's the fun part. Finally,
Yeah.
finally.
But you have to get through like hours.
And this
hours
is
of
every
this.
time.
Yeah.
Like every week you get at least like 14 to 20. I'm not complaining. This is just the job that no one wants to actually tell you is the job.
Yeah.
Because it's really,
Not
really not hot. It's really unsexy. Like
Yeah, yeah.
saggy, like not pretty.
Yeah.
Look.
People pay $200,000
To
do this.
to
yeah.
do this.
To have the education to do this.
It's brutal, but like and I kept telling you, like, what if there's like a piece of that in almost every single creative process,
Yes.
whether it's like your 3D modeling or whatever, that
an
there's
annoying
always this
part.
like annoying part that like, man, if I had like a little Dobby, if I had a little Dobby to just do it and just like feed it cat food, you know. It would just make life so much better. You could just like sit, play a few rounds of Rainbow Six or Call of Duty. You could like, you know, chug beer and whatever, and then like go back and then you're just like, ooh, you know, photo drop, and you put some gradients here and there, and you put some sparkles and some shines and some glowy edges, and then, you know, color dodge, and then you're done. And it's just like, yes. But no, if you're a pro, there's always like an element of like, you know, prepping.
Yes.
For example, I think if you're an illustrator, you can prep your canvas.
Yes.
You have sometimes you're lucky enough to have a little apprentice that you
Yeah.
teach
Oh,
them how to
yeah.
prime the
Yeah.
canvas.
And like transfer the drawing onto
Right.
it to scale. It's I see this AI technology and I go like, oh man, the uses for this to make our life so much easier, so much faster and better. But yes, there is the danger that like it can completely just eliminate your entire fucking job one day.
Because if it can lasso tool,
Yeah.
then it's probably like,
Like accurately.
what else could it do?
What the digital artist's argument here is that it's plagiarism. That people don't understand how many years of your life dedicated to like not like just the technical skill of being able to do that, and then like the more creative side of it of like, well, I made this style. I like, no, I don't own it, but like there is some
This is
level
me.
of ownership to it. Yeah.
Right.
And when people are just like taking your art just to train this AI algorithm. Like, who gave you the right to take my art like that? And so then they're like, this is plagiarism. The other side's arguing that, like, is this not what most artists do to learn? You're taking other people's art, you're copying it, you're learning from it, developing your own version of it, because that's technically what AI is doing. AI is not necessarily literally one for one taking your thing and just slapping other things to it to make it slightly different. It's like figuring out what makes this style a style, and it can make new things out of nothing. That's what's so, like, revolutionary about it. It's like smart enough to know certain things, our eyes, our noses, our lips, our whatever.
So lately there's this trend on, I think, Twitter and everywhere, even on TikTok, where you can, like, pay an algorithm or pay a certain sum. I'm not really sure. This is also happening so new.
Yeah.
But, like, they could turn themselves into an anime or whatever kind of style that there is. Which is sort of like, whoa, we're paying AI now to do that. That's money we should be giving to artists at conventions, and that's commissions, basically. Commission money.
Yeah. And I go, like, so...
This is happening so fast.
Yeah, $12 is all it takes for you to... All the narcissists out there to be like, oh, yeah, I totally want, like, take my $12 and give me all the portraits of myself. But I'm like, so you're not willing to pay, like, $100, $200, however much for, like, your favorite artist do literally the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But $12 is, like, the threshold for you. Okay. But that's actually, like, whether you hate that or you like that or you think it's cool or whatever, that's just a fact of humanity that the cheaper something is, people want it at a certain price. Like, they value it at a certain price. Like, they don't care if a real person made the portrait or not. They just want a portrait of themselves. They don't give a shit. Yeah.
Right. Does it look like me in this person's style? It does? Great. $12? Yeah. Oh, great. Why would I pay, like, $2,000 to get it from the real thing?
Yeah. And that's no matter what you feel about it, the general public, that's how much they value artists. Like, get that through your head. If you're an artist, get that through your head, that the average person does not value you. They don't know the difference between you and an AI art. If they between $1,000 and $12, they're gonna choose the $12 one. They don't really know the difference. Most people don't. And to see the digital art community specifically complain about this literal fact of life as if they can do anything about it.
Yeah, let's draw a parallel between something else in media that's like this. Think about Kazaa and Napster back in the day. Think about the Pirate Bay now. People are still taking the most low quality version of Black Panther or Wakanda Forever, going like, oh, I just want to know what happens. I don't want to pay for it. I don't really care. Yeah. I just want to get my free version of it so I can be in the know, let's say. And like, when you kind of compare that to you as an AI artist, like, what's the difference between you and the big studio? If people can achieve whatever they can achieve at a cheaper price, they're going to do that instead of
yeah.
And I don't like that this is a thing.
No, it's just a fact of life.
Yes.
Like, it is.
Like, this is something that the studios have been fighting for a long time.
Yeah. Like, whenever
they're so happy that AI can recognize when you post something on YouTube or Vimeo or this song that is you don't have the license for on whatever platform. They can really find you now. Whereas in before, man, remember the days when we were in college and they were really struggling? The music industry, it seemed like it was toast.
Right. And, like, how many people roll their eyes when they have, like, a Blu-ray for the people who buy Blu-rays, and they have that FBI thing, and it's like, piracy has real victims, and and like.
But we've all seen how easy it is.
Yeah, to not even get a low quality, to get literally the Blu-ray somehow. Someone uploaded it to the internet, and now you can pirate it. It's just like, most people just don't care. Like, that's just, one of my opinions when I was looking at all of this was like, this is kind of a losing battle for artists, because the average person doesn't understand plagiarism to begin with. The idea of plagiarism and what it means to copy, and then you get like the internet warriors who like to be right all the time, arguing, well, like legally this would, well, like it's not, half the time we're not talking about legally, we're talking about ethics sometimes, but like the average person does not understand copyright, does not understand the concept of plagiarism. The entire artist community is trying to educate a population that simply does not care about them. Like what
they're not willing to listen or even have the conversation. It's just like
it's not. Yeah, they just
like,
don't care.
This does the thing. Oh, I want to do that thing.
Cool,
It's
yeah.
almost like a meme for them. It's almost like, think about it in a basic TikTok trend level. They just want to be a part of the trend.
Right.
But they don't see that this is like an existential crisis for all of us who know how to use Photoshop.
Exactly.
Or Procreate.
And I also see it as like this is such a, the argument that everyone is having is not the argument people should be having. It's this plagiarism, is it right, is it wrong? It doesn't even matter. This argument doesn't matter, because if people are willing to pay money, $12, and like this trend of people, like average everyday people just getting like AI art commissions essentially of their face, you've already lost. You've already lost culturally, and people are adopting this at such a high rate that like there's no, like, it feels like the art community is trying to fight this, and I'm like, there's no fighting it. Like, this is inevitable.
Like Thanos.
Yes. It is what it is, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. Being angry about it, about the ethics of it, about whatever, is like pointless because people are gonna do it, especially to like spite you if you're gonna like bully people too.
Yeah. What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna do this even more and put everybody's style into the thing. And that, like, how have you not thought that like in 3 years everybody's style?
Yeah.
Everybody's on Instagram and the YouTube. Like, of course everybody's style is gonna be on the internet one day. Yeah. And then not only that, the styles throughout history. Edward Gorey, Robert Crumb, like everybody. You're gonna be able to ask the computer to do anybody's style in like 3 years, probably sooner. And like, what is all of this shaking your fist at the cloud for? Yeah. If not to fuel the fire even more.
Exactly. Like, they're just gonna like do it because you're pissed off even more. So like, early on we saw Ian McKay's kind of sort of. I keep saying Ian McHugh's opinion on this. He painted this thing, tweeted it out there, and then someone was like, oh, this was totally made in Midjourney. And then he was like, why did you think that? He's like, because it is. Like, this Twitter person was just so convinced that they didn't, I'm assuming they didn't know who Ian McHugh is. Ian McHugh is like OG digital background painter who's worked on like everything.
Like Ian McHugh, Craig Mullins, fucking All Might, fucking what's Todoroki's dad's name? Endeavor. It's like that to the art community.
Yes. He's like, they're like OG, like just daddy of digital background art. Painting. Yeah. Right. He basically was like, why do you think that? And then the person was like, because it is, just so totally convinced that it was.
And like, I don't blame this dude. Like, what if this is like their thing, their hobby is to get really jazzed about AI art, and then they just see that and go like, just assume.
Yeah, it's AI art.
All right.
And then Ian McHugh basically screen caps the tweet, because I guess he finds it amusing, and then is like, look, this is happening. And then he even like, I think said after the fact that like, this isn't like a moral thing. He's not upset. It's just that's kind of funny that this person thinks like that's it. And
mind you, this happened like days after our AI podcast, where we're like, nobody's gonna be able to tell the difference anymore.
Right. And so like, it'll devalue digital artists, all that stuff. Right. And I was just like, see, that is a professional's opinion. It's like, it is gonna happen. People are gonna think what they're gonna think. Who gives a shit? I'm Ian McHugh. And you move on. And you kind of laugh at it, you give it a little chuckle, and you just go like, whatever.
I made Todoroki.
He's like that.
Yeah, who cares?
Do you wake up in the morning and think about AI art and think, wow, man, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a job in 3 years. It might be all the computer. It might be all Skynet. It might be all in our minds. When I freak out like that, I think, hey, let's not freak out. Let's drink coffee brand coffee. Coffee brand coffee gives me the energy to make me feel like AI art and all of this impending doom is just super far away from me.
If you want 10% off your entire order, check the link down below. Enter code honeyandabsinthe at checkout to get your coffee fix. It's very good.
Enjoy your coffee enema, babies.
It's really disappointing for me to see professionals, quote unquote, professionals, typically in our age demographic, so like professionals, but young professionals, not someone like Ian McHugh.
Someone who spent $200,000 on their art career.
Yes, who are more fairly recently famous, recently in the industry, that kind of stuff. It's disappointing for me to see how insecure they're being about getting this upset about this thing that none of us should be all that fearful of, because our value is in our humanity.
Our ideas.
Yeah. And I just go like, there's this overarching thing with this whole conversation, and it's that these people are really angry and insecure. They're about to lose their jobs, and they're in the process of losing value in the eyes of the very few people that value them,
that celebrate them. What they do.
Exactly. They attack AI artists, their ability, their talent, their whatever, because they themselves are insecure about those things. If that's all you have to feel validated is your ability to draw and your technical ability, then maybe someone has probably done that to you at one point, like mock your inability to draw or whatever. You think that hurts someone else's ego, and that's how you want, when you feel insecure, you want to feel superior to someone. This is the internet in a nutshell. People who tend to be on the internet tend to be really insecure, really angry people who need therapy. But instead of therapy, they use the internet to feel superior to someone else, because you can be anyone. You can be a piece of shit 12-year-old pretending to be anyone, and then you can feel superior because your daddy beats you. But I just look at all of this and I go like, you guys are all really dumb, insecure, angry people. You're going through the stages of grief. And you have to get to acceptance. Right now you're in denial.
Yeah.
You need
We've been in denial for 5 months now.
Yes. You need to get to acceptance before you can even begin to get to problem solving. What the fuck are you going to do? Because this is inevitable. This is there's no fighting whatever's coming after this. We can't necessarily, like we said, there's so many uses for this, but we won't be able to really predict where this is going to go. But it really feels like your jobs are on the line. And it's history repeating itself. When Photoshop came to be, a lot of traditional background painters, traditional artists, people who drew with pen and pencil and on paper and painted on cells and all, those jobs went away, and the people who refused to change also went away. And
we don't hear from them anymore.
No, yeah, unless you were an early adopter of things like Photoshop. And so I just go there is a way, there will always be a way for creative people to survive, because I believe our value is in our creativity. It's not in the technical skill. I kind of dislike how long it takes to draw something, to paint something, whatever. If something else can do it for me, great. You took the hard part out of my fucking job. But the ideating, that part's hard. That part like takes a lot of energy. That's what we get paid for. And if you can't get to that problem solving of like, how the fuck are we gonna keep our jobs, how are we gonna do that, instead you're just fighting it for some reason, you're gonna be left behind. It just is what it is. I thought the saddest part in all of this is the teachers and the students' relationship to all of this. Because like most industries, there's a whole entire grifty thing around selling very expensive courses to very desperate students who desperately want to break into the industry and achieve their childhood dreams of working for Disney or whatever.
Making a video game.
Yeah. And teachers these days are getting younger and younger and younger. So like our peers are teaching, people in their 30s, late 20s are teaching, and they are prone to being insecure and angry because they haven't gone through the life experience to be like Ian McHugh, and like just being able to look past all that and see like what truly is the important things to talk about for you. What are the important things to focus on? Because like this is, I'm just being honest, okay? Because a lot of these people's livelihoods is more dependent on the courses that they are selling you, and rather than like actually being a pro or whatever, their livelihood now is dependent on you believing the bullshit that they're selling to you or teaching you, or at least believing in the title that they have. Whereas like we were just talking about, like, you've been in the industry for a really long time now. It really doesn't mean a certain length of time doesn't mean anything until you get to a certain point of like, just, you are a veteran, you're like old and gray and you've seen some shit. But like when you're like us, all the people like us, in my opinion, should not be teaching, because to me it's kind of irresponsible. And maybe not even of your own, it's not even your own fault, you're just young, comparatively. And to see the teachers and the pros and the whatever just so angry, so insecure, and then to see the like students of these people paying loads of money, just like oblivious of what's about to come.
Signing loans. Just
Yeah.
everything, just like thousands of dollars, and the school is telling them that like just pay us this, and then you're gonna be able to make the next Mad Max, I promise.
Yeah.
And making all of these promises that we all know, like everybody knows who's in the industry how uncertain our future is now.
Yes.
With the economy, with AI art on the horizon. It is irresponsible to tell you and guarantee your students of anything.
Especially of like, you will have a job, you will be like me one day, like
things like my work experience kind of reigns true or matters. Well, I don't even know if like the job force or our jobs are going to look the same in a few years.
Yeah.
How could you even use your own experience other than like, I don't know, maybe if you were part of the wave of illustrators who got phased out because of Photoshop, maybe you understand a little bit better of what kind of is happening. But like at the end of the day, we are all clueless here as to what's about to happen. Yeah. All we can teach each other is how to be good artists and how to come up with cool ideas. But to say that like there's going to be a job waiting for us or the same job waiting for us in a few years, that's not true. Yeah. I don't know.
Like the people who should know better and probably know better, like the teachers and the professionals, are whipping these people into a frenzy, arguing about things that don't matter and having them not focusing on the things that do, and just completely going like, don't worry.
What are the things that do matter? What are the things you should be telling your students?
Focus on getting good at creating. And it doesn't necessarily like part of it is a technical skill. That's something that you will always kind of at least need some aspect of it. But the main part is like get used to the idea of generating ideas and creating things and making everything from whatever it is that you want to make. A physical product, a comic, whatever. But like the point is you should be just making things. To the job thing, the insecurity and the arguing of like, is this ethical? What? That's someone else's business. Stop paying attention to like someone else's bullshit, someone else's insecurities. Like, you should be working on improving yourself, whatever that means. And like, it just makes me, it weirds me out that this is a conversation focused on like this thing that is out of your control, outside factors like AI and what the nerds are doing, and just like it's just like, okay, like what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? Just focus on yourself. So it's not just the art community. So recent news: James Gunn basically became head of DC. In like there, he's helming it. He's deciding the future direction of the DC cinematic universe, and he made his first really big move. The Hollywood Reporter basically reported that Wonder Woman 3, the Patti Jenkins treatment, was basically rejected. A lot of the sequels, if they have been not like straight up canceled, they will probably be the last iteration of that Superman or that Aquaman.
The Snyderverse, basically.
Yeah, it looks like the entirety of the Snyderverse is basically going to be wiped clean really soon, and they're going to go in a completely new direction. The reaction to this news on Twitter, at least, is that, well, for one, it seems like Patty Jenkins is having a meltdown and like upset that they rejected her treatment, rejected the opportunity to rewrite it. I think the script of it was leaked, and I have a feeling she leaked it herself. It's not pretty. And then a lot of people who are fans of the Snyderverse are basically pretty upset. They're like afraid of the change. It's a lot of the similar reaction to like just HBO Max and WB laying off a lot of people. They're either dunking on it or they're just like upset that it's happening, because it's scary. All this change is scary. But for me, when I saw the news, I was actually really excited.
What do you think about these decisions? What do you think about the Snyderverse?
I never liked the Snyderverse.
I don't think DC has been great since The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Yeah. A long time.
I saw this like breakdown of a Justice League clip between the Snyder cut and the J.J. Abrams original?
the Buffy guy.
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. There you go. I saw a comparison between the Joss Whedon Justice League and the Snyder cut, and what's really interesting is I almost wish the two of them had collaborated on the movie, because the Joss Whedon one was really economical and really kind of like gets to the fucking point. It's a little much, a little over, like it's a little much in terms of the like it kind of Marvel-ifies the DC universe. The Snyder cut goes like in the complete opposite direction. There's too much
slow-mo, and then like close up of feet, and then going up the stairs,
and
the drama
that makes it kind of cheesy.
Expressions going.
And I think like DC fanboys and girls are just like have like like what's it called, like rose color lenses. They're like they bought into the hype a little too much. It's not the Snyderverse has never been that good, and I was just kind of like
Why is the Snyderverse not good? Be precise.
Okay, so Zack Snyder comes from Art Center. Okay, and he's all about visuals and aesthetics and style. Oftentimes over story. He tends to be just as juvenile as the J.J. Abrams, as the Joss Whedons, but in a completely different way and style. And it's, to me, a lot of times the slow-mo is really annoying. It's, as someone who wants to be treated like an intelligent audience member, it kind of is like a bullet shot out of the gun. Wonder Woman is saving the children. I'm like, yes, I can see that. You don't have to slow-mo literally everything. I'm not fucking dumb, okay? And so, like, I just want, like, I'm not, like, the biggest fan of Nolan's movies, but at least the Dark Knight trilogy treated me like a fucking intelligent human being. So I just find Zack Snyder's aesthetic and Warner Brothers trying to make everything, other directors force them into that aesthetic, really heavy-handed and tiresome. That's the best way I can put it. It's also very dreary and sad. I'm not saying I want a Marvel version of DC. I think DC is darker, but it doesn't need to be like
literally dark.
Yeah.
Like I can't see anything.
So I didn't love the new Batman, but like I liked it in that like it had a voice that was different from the Zack Snyder universe.
Same with the Joker.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was a completely different just world. And that was cool. It's cool stepping into these worlds. And like I don't think you have to marry every single movie in your universe to a style that's limiting. And
yes.
I do want to see like a person's voice come out through a movie. It seems as though they gave Nolan so much ability to like say the story, tell the story in the way that he wanted, and then after that it's just like they had a tight grip about how it should look and how it should feel.
Right. Very
dreary. Your mom is my mom. Oh my god.
I am very excited for I don't know if James Gunn and the team behind all of this is going to make good movies, but I'm excited for change. I mean, because I've been tired of this universe for a while. I don't know why there's been like fewer movies than the Marvel movies, and yet I'm already like tired of it. And I hope and feel that like this is necessary in order for Hollywood to make good movies again. Like, what does it mean that they rejected Patti Jenkins' treatment? That like not anything is going to fly anymore. Like they have a certain vision, a certain quality level, a certain character arc, or whatever they're
expectation
in
for the characters.
It seems like they have a vision, and they're trying to keep to this vision. Well, it remains to be seen if it's going to be a good vision, but the fact that I'm just simply excited for a different vision says a lot about how tired I am about the one that already exists. What I think a lot of people misunderstand about us is that like they think we shit on Hollywood regardless of anything, when in actuality we both have worked in it. We gave our entire lives to it. We believed in the Hollywood dream hard enough to get into loads of debt just so we can work in it. We want to believe in the Hollywood ideal. We want good movies. We're rooting for these companies to do the right thing for once. And just like make good movies that aren't patronizing, that aren't super woke just to like be woke, when like just
ease my suffering.
I just want to not be born sometimes. So, if a movie does well, I'm not opposed to praising it. I'm not gonna shit on it just because I'm on like some kind of team here. Like I'm not on anyone's team other than just team good movie.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. So like we're actually, our criticisms come from a place of like we just want it to be better. Can't you just like, people who get really like I get really like annoyed at the people, like it really seems like the animation community is still really obsessed with me. They're like hyper insecure about me shitting on them, and they're like just constantly watching and like typing in the discords about me.
Fuck her,
yeah,
that bitch.
without realizing, like I can see where you guys are coming from in my analytics. I can see that you're all coming from your little Discord. Like I can see that you're coming from Twitter. Like you think you're being slick, but you're like not. Like they don't realize that like I'm criticizing because I want these things to be better. Like I'm like, that's what kind of like hurt my soul so much at the beginning of like my whole like why I quit my job at Disney stuff. Is
working
like,
at DuckTales basically.
yeah, it was just like I believed in you guys. I wanted this to be the ideal, but like you constantly disappoint me, so I have to be like, dude, like just be better. Just make better shit. Like I don't know what to tell you. And then they get so upset just because I'm like, oh, you guys suck, because I'm not the only one saying it, acting like I am. But like the point is like I've seen a lot of commentators online recently shit on things like Black Panther, for example, saying like, oh, it's such a flop, blah blah blah. Whereas like we never said that. We said like, these are our predictions. We don't think it's gonna do as well as like the first Black Panther. It was a different time.
Black Panther made a lot of money.
It did.
Don't fucking lie. It made a lot of money.
I don't know if any studio is gonna do as well as they used to,
right.
Pre-pandemic. Just culturally we're at a different place now, but like I don't think Black Panther was a flop. It seemed like most people enjoyed it for what it was, but it really kind of upsets me to see like now people are in like camps, and like people have made entire careers off of shitting on Disney and Marvel and media, regardless of whether it's warranted or not. Like, they're not using logic, they're not using data, they're not using anything other than... And, like, you're not even sure whether they believe half the things they're saying. They just know it pays the bills to have Black Panther flopped on your thumbnail or to, like, tweet this stuff or whatever it is that you do. But I feel culture shifting the other way. Because of this whole James Gunn thing, because of things I'm witnessing in Hollywood, the trend...
Well, Iger's saying about what he wants to do with depoliticizing Disney. Basically.
Right. Like
that. Like, if Disney makes cool stuff again, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, great. We'll be like the biggest Disney shows ever. Like,
yeah. But you have to make cool shit.
But you have to, yeah.
While you're making stuff like, what is that? Strange World.
Right.
We're going to take a fat shit
like,
on it.
What is this?
Yeah, what is this? But if you make like... What I thought was last time you were great was Frozen. Mm-hmm. That's like I took all of my friends to see Frozen.
Yeah,
like my dude friends. Like you have to. This subverses everything you know about princess movies. You got to watch this movie called Frozen. But it hasn't been like that for a long time because these people like to sniff their own farts.
Yes.
But one day they won't. One day they'll be in a position where they have to prove themselves.
Right. They have to be like, let's
set ego aside.
Yeah. Let's maybe do it for the love of the thing.
Right.
And
not to like, you should believe in our agendas.
You should, or whatever agenda it is that they have. And so like, I because I'm seeing, like, it's kind of amazing that, like, Chebet can be like, let's have neutrality here. Everyone takes a big fat shit on him. And then Iger comes back in and literally says the same exact thing. And everyone's like,
Iger said
yes,
it. Yes,
yes.
Iger,
keep my job.
Yes, you are the boss. You are the boss. I'm just like... I kept telling you, my theory about Strange World is that they let it flop.
A lot of people think that.
Because there's no other thing that will fucking make these people who made the movie shut the fuck up and humble them than a big fucking failure on their resume. A big, like, man, I would not want to put Strange World on my resume if I were you. Just saying. But like that way, Disney could just be like, okay, we fucked up. You fucked up. Your movie sucks. Let's do something different. And like, are you gonna get mad at them for that? Because you didn't rake in the money with your woke movie.
And that's what I've been like. People have been making excuses for Strange World, saying like Strange World is a good movie, but Disney intentionally didn't market it at all to force it to flop. And then I was like, what does it say that the company that you show for and the company that you love so much did not market the woke movie that you love so much? What does it say about them that they don't actually care about your woke issues? That like it's all a business for them, and they're willing to let you take the blame and flop and lose your job, all this stuff, and have everyone on the internet shit on you for flopping. They're willing to do all that because at the end of the day, they knew that it wasn't going to make money, or they knew it was a bad look, or what, for whatever reason. What does that say about your Lord and Savior, Disney, the giant corporation? I just, like, no matter how you want to spin it, this doesn't look good for you. People who like this type of stuff. People who are like trying to be like, no, I'm proud of this. It's such a great movie, all this stuff. And I go like, it means that Iger doesn't give a shit about you. It means that Chapek doesn't give a shit about you. Well, like, you know that. You guys hate him. But like,
this is also competitive stuff with them too. They're seeing like WB make moves and all of that stuff, and they want to fucking be competitive because they're not doing so great right now. They're losing a lot of money right now. It's
interesting that like the Disney hiring and firing stuff isn't really being reported in the news because they're like doing it really, really kind of hush hush and slow, and like freezing hiring. They're having like clearly like some kind of like power struggle with Chapek and Iger and whatever is happening, and then there's stuff happening with like Indiana Jones 5, and like it just seems
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, it like on top of that, like Strange World wasn't marketed for whatever reason. There's shit happening. People aren't getting hired. People are getting fired in every company, and like things are changing, and it feels like to me it's changing for the better because people are making rational decisions again, and things aren't, when the economy is great, you can spend money on all sorts of random bullshit, and it doesn't matter if your woke movie flops because it was too woke or whatever. It doesn't matter. But when things are hard, watch what these people are doing at the top. Watch like what they're firing, what they're canceling, what is happening, because it shows you where their priorities lie. To me, I'm seeing that, oh, they're like, we need to make money. And what's making money? Top Gun. We can do that. Let's do that. Let's fire everyone and like let's do Top Gun. So that's what it's looking like to me, and I'm here for it. Not because I want people to get fired, because I just want good movies.
Top Gun. Yeah. Because Top Gun, when Top Gun came out, we were like, this is special. Yes. Everybody, you gotta see this.
We talked about it for like months. Yeah. Everyone talked about it for months. So ideally, a lot of if Hollywood, if culture as a whole is moving towards this route, everything seems to be like righting itself, you know, all the big institutions, like everything felt like nothing made sense for the longest time, and now finally Hollywood is starting to make better movies again, or like make moves to make better movies. People are trying to be more in the center and not so like fucking crazy on every side. A lot of the people who made livelihoods out of being controversial, out of hating things like Disney and Marvel, all this stuff, ideally in that world where everything gets better, they wouldn't have a job. they wouldn't have, like, why would people watch them shit on things that are genuinely good? Back before a lot of this stuff was happening, we had movie reviewers, just simply like people celebrating movies, people celebrating this stuff. So like what I'm seeing in like the commentating influencer side of things is like I'm seeing the same kind of fear that things are changing for them, that people aren't, like, they're not as popular anymore, they're not as valued anymore as in the art community with the whole AI art, because things are changing there. And my prediction is that even though this seems inevitable, Hollywood has these like eras of like shifting one way and then shifting the other way. This whole technology thing, I've never seen technology go backwards. So it just seems inevitable. And yet I don't believe influencers and artists are going to change with the times. Clearly, the artists are just going around in circles. Influencers are just making the same old thumbnails because currently it still makes money, still gets views. And I think it's because in order to have power, in order to have influence, in order for people to respect them and to validate them, they need things to stay the same. They need to fight really hard for things to stay exactly where it was, because even if they don't have power, they know the path to get there. They know, like, all I have to do is do these
shit on
things,
Disney.
yeah, in order to be popular.
Right.
But when things are changing, you don't know what's going to be popular. No one knows what's going to be popular. No one knows who's going to be on the right side of things. You just have to be lucky enough to be there when it happens. But like, they don't want that. They don't want any kind of risk involved in getting power and getting validation. And so this brings me recently to this behind the scenes video of Fasshbender basically going on set to film his latest movie with David Fincher called, I think, The Killer or something like that. It's half that and half like his other life of being a race car driver.
Man, what a surprise. Michael Fasshbender is actor sometimes, but most of the time does Formula One racing or some crazy form of racing.
Yeah. So basically in the video, what they explain is like in my opinion, the reason why Fasshbender hasn't really been doing as many movies is because the only time he can audition for them is on the off seasons of his racing career.
Whoa.
So like during the on seasons, he's training, he's racing, he's flying to France, all this stuff. And then on the off season, he's like, I'm gonna audition for movies. If I get movies, cool. If I don't, whatever. I'm gonna go, once this is over, I'm gonna go like race my cars. And I just found the whole thing just really inspiring because, for one, you don't typically see behind the scenes of movies that often anymore. They used to do it all the time, featurettes for DVDs, all that stuff, but like now it's fairly rare to see it, and if you do see it, it's just some kind of featurette for social media. So it's not as like detailed as I feel like it used to be back in the day. People don't even do like commentary, director commentaries for their movies anymore. But the main thing that I want to point out is that like I was really impressed by Fasshbender and Fincher for kind of like staying sane, touching grass, and staying busy all the time. Of like, oh, this is why these people don't have Twitters. This is why they aren't really in the news for bullshit things. Like recently, Jennifer Lawrence got in trouble for saying something like being the first female action lead.
She said
or
that?
something like that. Yeah, on an actor reactor thing.
Ripley.
Exactly.
Alien.
People were like,
What about?
there has been a lot. And like, you get people who, like Jennifer Lawrence, who say stupid shit like that, and then you get Fasshbender being like, I'm not gonna engage with all this crazy bullshit, and I'm just gonna like live my best life and look at what I can do with my life now that like I've kind of accomplished everything, you know, people like that. They're rich, they're famous, they are talented, and if they never wanted to work another day in their life, they could. But instead, they're like, I'm gonna learn how to drive race cars. And this really kind of affected me recently because I think what a lot of people misunderstand about me is that they think I'm searching for validation by being controversial on the internet or just trying to like rock the boat for whatever reason. And I go like, no, not really. I've accomplished my dreams. Like I did the thing that you're so jealous of, you know? Like I've worked at Disney and I'm like, it's not all that. I feel like we own a home. We have gotten married. I'm like 30. I do not care about the same bullshit things that you young 20, late teens care about. And I shouldn't. People in the 30s shouldn't care about those things. But surprisingly, a lot of people do. For example, a lot of the professionals complaining about AI art were like, they still need validation. Like they're still so like, I need to feel superior to someone else. And I'm just like, when you've made it, when you have all the money in the world, all the status in the world, all the whatever, what happens then?
You know what it's like to make good money.
Yes.
At the very least.
Yes, at the very least.
You did the thing where you went to school and you put in loans and then you made the career.
Yes.
You're one of those people.
Yes.
Who actually did it.
Right. When you get to that point, what happens is one of two things. For one, you get bored. You get really bored. And this comes from definitely a place of privilege. A lot of people aren't going to relate to this sentiment because a lot of people are still like hustling, still trying to like figure out what success means to them in their life. But when you finally achieve success, when you finally get money, when you're finally kind of comfortable in your life and you don't have all that, you lose purpose in a way. And that's why rich people go fucking nuts.
Right.
Like you get bored and you either want even more validation, this toxic cycle of like, I want more power, more money, more whatever.
So you climb the ladder.
Yes.
You go from, storyboard artist to revisionist storyboard artist, director, and then and no one goes backwards too.
Yeah.
Everyone's in such a big fucking rush to like to climb the ladder in their career, but they don't realize that once you climb, you can't really go down.
Right.
You often are kind of put in a shelf because everybody who could have been just a storyboard artist, that's just whoever's graduating from CalArts.
Right.
You know what I mean? What, you're gonna like fight for the same job as a CalArts person? The studio's gonna hire the CalArts person.
Right.
You know this.
To go backwards takes a lot of humility, but also it takes you telling people you're willing to go backwards because people don't want to insult you and like offer you whatever job is available, which is like, they're like, oh, but you've been a director.
In most instances, a pay cut, basically.
Yeah, that too. Like they don't want to insult you and they don't want to make you mad, and they're pretty sure in their mind that like you would reject it anyways. So like it's a hard life, in my opinion, to just constantly be searching for validation, to be constantly climbing the ladder. But that's like most people. Most people will choose that route, which is why it's so incomprehensible for them to understand that I don't think like you. I don't want those things. You insulting me by throwing insults at me that would actually insult you. Do not do anything to my ego because I don't want those things.
You did it.
Yeah, like I don't care. But like the other route is that you get bored, so you're like, let's become the best version of myself that I can be just for shits and giggles.
Let's live life like it's Groundhog's Day.
Exactly, yeah. Like, imagine Groundhog's Day. Imagine you can live forever and every day is the same. You don't have to want for money or whatever. You're just like, your goal is to just exist.
Become a superhuman.
And in that movie, he gets bored. And then he's like, let me learn how to play instruments. Let me learn different languages. Let me become this worldly human being. And that's when he finally gets the girl. That's the route people like Fasshbender have chosen. Because once you have that level of success, you go through a period of like boredom, and then you go like, okay, let's fucking do this and let's like become superhuman.
Yeah, the other version is DiCaprio. He's
Yes.
like, what will you do to give me the Oscar? Do you want me to eat this raw piece of meat? What will it take? And then you just do it. You just grovel. You grovel at the institution, and you want the accolades because that's your existence in life.
And I couldn't help but feel like I'm so inspired by people like Fasshbender and Fincher right now, because look at all of us fucking on the internet complaining about AI art, and in that time he was racing cars and making movies in like keeping their head down and like accomplishing all these amazing things. And like, I'm incredibly jealous of that. I'm like, man, how do you have the drive, the mental fortitude, the ability to like ignore all the noise and to just put your head down and like do that? And I'm like, I want to be around people like that. I want to be inspired by people like that, and I want to be like that. I don't care about the whole AI art conversation. I don't care about this, because while we were all upset about this, while you guys were all upset about this, instead of maybe, I don't know, drawing, it's not maybe, I don't know, making shit that matters, these guys were. And that's why these guys are the guys that they are, and
you are who you
are. You are who you are, exactly.
Complaining about AI art.
Exactly. And I go, and so my prediction, as like the world is changing so incredibly fast, it is scary, and everyone is like running on fear right now. I think what this means is like people who are going to be on the right side of things, people who just happen to be doing cool shit and to be like this, like the culture just naturally moves that way and they get lucky, just like how influencers got lucky when Instagram and YouTube became a thing, when TikTok became a thing. People were in the right place in the right time. There's those people, and then there's people who are keeping their head down and they're changing with the times. They're like, I want to be where the culture is moving. 90% of people aren't going to do that. We're seeing it. I'm seeing it. Like 90% of people on Twitter, on the internet, the journalists, everyone, they're just going to complain. They're just going to like wish for things to stay the same. They're going to kick and scream. This, like, we've seen this happen over time and time again. I believe this is a stress test. I believe 90% of people are not going to pass the stress test. But the people who are like, this is scary, but like, let's change with the times, those are the people who are going to be part of a really cool change. I think media, I think entertainment, I think Hollywood, everything is going to get better from here. I think we've kind of sort of hit rock bottom. And I think things are finally starting to look up, and it probably won't happen for the next year or 2 years from now. We're typically too early. Again, I don't think people are ready to hear this. I think people are going to tell me I'm full of shit. I think people are like, are going to be like, you're complaining just like the rest of us. Like, yeah, it upsets me. Like, I'm going to like go do some shit after this. Okay. I want to be a part of that. And I hope by talking about it, by hoping that like other people are noticing this change too, they're also going to be a part of it. And I'm just really excited to see where things are going to go from here.
So why should artists and influencers not be insecure that things are changing, Jan?
Because it's going to hold you back. If you are a secure human being like Ian McHugh, Fasshbender, Fincher, you're amongst the greats.
We're amongst the greats.
You're going to do great things. If you are secure, you're going to be the artist complaining about AI art.
If you're insecure.
Yeah. If you're insecure, you're going to disappear. Whether you like it or not.
Back to the Future style, too.
Yeah.
You're just not going to be a part of the conversation culturally in the future.
Exactly. So I'm recommending this episode, that video, I'm going to have it linked down below, of Fincher and Fasshbender being kings, inspiring people, doing things to make their life more interesting. Yeah. If you like this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, jingle all our bells and buttons. Check out these other episodes to binge all our other episodes, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.